And we're live in both areas. Alright, so welcome to making hard apple cider. Going ahead and adjusting stuff because I didn't do it correctly before we started. There we go. Alright, so welcome to Cheap Crafting for Beginners. I'm going to show you how to make your homemade hard apple cider. And, sorry, I've got both my live down here on my phone camera running, and then the actual recording for the camera up there. So it's a little bit distracting. Alright, first off, now, for brewing your own alcohol, stuff like that, it's actually kind of loud. There's not a lot of corners you can cut, not a lot of ways you can actually make it cheap, but there are a few. Now, first off, one of the cheaper ones I found is actually hard apple cider. And the one thing you want to be careful about when you're doing this is you don't want pasteurized cider. Now you can start off with either apple juice or apple cider, but not pasteurized. As it's kind of late and I'm drinking coffee out of a beer bottle. So you don't want preserved apple juice or apple cider. Pasteurized or flash pasteurized, which you get a lot of nowadays. Like this is cheap. It's like $2.50, $2 somewhere in there bottle. That's what this is, and it was flash pasteurized, which means all the germs inside are. But it doesn't have preservatives. If you get one with preservatives, that is going to heavily you're not going to get a brew out of it. It's not going to ferment. So, that aside, just so you now know, you want to go ahead and get your cider. And I just got regular apple cider. I got it from Safeway, signature brand. You don't want to boil it, but you're going to want to put it on medium heat. So we're just going to drop that in real fast. And I've found, honestly, that doing more than 1 gallon of brewing anything at a time, at least when you're doing like this, so apple cider or mead, it's not going to work out very well for you. It's going to be very difficult to heat up. So unless you've got a ton that you're doing, just do the 1 gallon at a time. Put that down there. We're going to get it going. Now I'm going to introduce you to the rest of the stuff that you're going to need. And it is very distracting having 2 freaking cameras on here. But the rest of what you need is, you want a gallon bottle, you want glass, honestly. It is going to be much, much easier. You can do this in plastic. You can brew your own cider in plastic. The problem is, it gets very difficult after a while, because you're going to have your cider sitting in here for about 20 minutes. And I brewed it in plastic just because I wanted to see if I could. And you can, it's just you have to constantly pour cold water over that bottle, otherwise that plastic deforms. So try to get a glass. They're like $9 when you order them offline. Or there's this, I can't remember the wine brand, it's like runs $15 for a big bottle. It's actually pretty good, so you just drink that and wash the bottle out. And you've got that. Secondly, and something you cannot skip, you're going to want a thermostat. Because you're going to measure your brew, you're going to get it down to 90 degrees before you add your yeast, or honestly a little below 90. Because if you don't get it to that point, you are going to kill your yeast. And I have done that before, and I've screwed myself over, and that was on mead, which getting raw honey in for mead isn't cheap. So, you want a thermostat. Next, actually this part is optional, apples. Now, I have a friend who used to brew all the time, and she went and gave me the advice for apples. The apple peels are going to make it ferment better. Honestly, I'm just going to chop up and add the entire apple, because why not? I mean, got an apple cider here, so it's kind of overkill, but then again, kind of not. So, I'm just going to do the apples. Another one you cannot skip is going to be your airlock. I saw some, rig thing where you can use a balloon. What the airlock does is it allows the brew to ferment and get that carbon dioxide out while not allowing any germs or anything to get in. Very necessary. I've seen it. I saw a like ghetto one where you use a balloon to catch all of it, and then just constantly change out the balloons. I wouldn't recommend it. One of these days I'll try it. But again, this stuff actually, it's not free crafting for beginners, it's cheap crafting for beginners. So, this is really necessary. And the reason you want a gallon jug is because you're not going to fit this in a smaller bottle. I've got a Pendleton bottle over there that I'm going to store my finished brew in, but you're not going to be able to put it over. Oh, thank you, Hello Munchie. Or Hello Minnie. I can't see shit. I am so sorry. So, thank you. Thank you for the likes. You're going to want that, and I use this as my funnel. You probably want to get a bigger one. I have this just around. I use this, and then, where's my ghetto funnel? And then for the bigger transfers, this is part of a bottle that I just chopped off. So, thank you again, Hello Minnie. Really appreciate it. But, so, it's not very hard to use something as a funnel. Again, you can ghetto this stuff pretty easily. There's a hair in there. So, we're going to turn it up a little. You're going to want a heat source. And the thing that they say you need that you don't actually need, oh, thank you for the follow. You don't need sanitizer. Now, again, you do have to sanitize it, but you don't need sanitizer. And that's where it kind of, add a little cheapness there. Just get, here, let me go ahead and see if I can't turn this without sending it crashing because it's currently on a shitload of chairs. Ta-da! Use your sink. Get the water as hot as you possibly. I am not doing politics. I am sorry. No, I am not getting into that. Sorry, Candy. So just get it as hot as you can. Run everything that you need to have sanitized, which is going to be everything, especially your bottle. Run it all under. Get it sanitized that way. So what I'm actually going to do first is I'm going to... Now, you don't need a cutting board, but I'm going to have it just because I'm going to run this under a shitload of hot water and then put it on here. But get these two done first, and that really takes care of most of your problems. So while we're waiting for that apple cider to brew, and I'm kind of laughing, my YouTube channel is going to be able to skip the parts where we're waiting for this all to go. The TikTok ain't. And hello, my many. I am showing how to cheaply brew your own hot apple cider. George Washington or Abraham Lincoln. Oh, come on, that's great. Sorry, little context for the YouTube video is I have the live going right here, and so before it, just went ahead and asked George Washington or Abraham Lincoln. Fuck. Well, let's see. Abraham Lincoln, it's actually kind of controversial when you look at him. You got people who absolutely hate him, and you got people who absolutely love him. And I'm kind of in the middle there. He inherited a very hard situation. Personally, I very much like him. So, again, the entire thing is he's honest. He went through an incredibly difficult time of U.S. history. I absolutely love the guy. But I'm going to have to pick George Washington. I really am. George Washington, again, he served in the British Army. French and Indian Wars. He took that experience. He took command of the Continental Forces and helped orchestrate victory over the biggest superpower in the world at that time. So, George Washington, banana or bread? How about both? Strawberries or blueberries? Strawberries, I actually don't like blueberries. I know, sue me. Ah, crap. This one is cracked. Well, that's okay. That is why we always have extras. Pineapple or mango? Ooh, that's difficult. I'm going to have to really go mango on that one. Your mom or my mom? Your mom, she sends me better pictures. I just realized how that sounded. There's really no talking my way out of that one, so I'm just moving on. Sanitizing that. Waiting for our apple cider to get warm, which is being difficult. Going to put together the airlock right now. Move it back on over here. Because as soon as we take care of the bottle, we're just throwing this on. Just run under some more hot water. Again, you do not need sanitizer for when you are sanitizing your bottles. You just need access to really freaking hot water. If you've got that, then it sanitizes itself. Again, I'll have between 140 and 170 degrees. I think 170 was the big one for germs and stuff. I'm thinking back when I was cooking ribs. It's difficult just like you. Thanks, Harley. Yeah, thank you very much. So, if you can get it above that 170 mark, you are perfectly in the safe zone, and boom. No germs. So, checking this. I know, oh no, he stuck his finger in the pot! Yeah, so what? Coffee out of a beer bottle, because I ran out of beer. And yes, for anyone wondering, I am over 21. I'm actually 23. I know this doesn't look it, but I'm over 23. I am 23. It's been a long day, and I've drank a lot of coffee. Okay. Again, this is why I'm actually feeling sorry for my live right now. Because the video I'm doing for YouTube, I can just skip this part, and everyone can be like, oh, okay. I can be like, okay, now time skip. And that ain't an option for the live. Yes, Harley, I am aware that I've done worse. Let's not say anything that'll get me banned again. And we're starting to steam here, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my apples ready. I used to actually have a thing for this. Do I still have the thing for this? I don't know. I don't know if I broke it or not. Knowing me, we're just going to pretend we didn't see that. Love you too, Harley. So you don't have to really add anything to this. Like me, this is a very simple drink. You need the apple juice, you need some form of yeast, and actually for this, that's all you need. For mead, you need water, honey, and the yeast. This you don't. I have seen a lot of channels and a lot of recipes online saying to go ahead and use raisins, actually. Apparently raisins either add to the taste or... what's the word for something? Nutrition! I'm a writer and I can't think of damn words. Yep. Turn that a little just because my YouTube channel thing isn't getting fully. Where am I? I'm in my house. Come on. Alright. Yeah, that is starting to smell pretty good. And so the reason you want to heat this up is technically from the recipe I read... oh, ask what I'm making. I'm making hard apple cider. I actually have a gallon brewing in a plastic jug, don't ask. And I'm like, yeah, why not just go ahead and make some on the live. Show how to do. I haven't posted anything to my crafting channel in a very long time. So that is getting warm. Anyways, right. The reason I was heating up is the recipe that I read said that you want, like, chives and shit. And you want to basically let it sit for 20 minutes, kind of mix. Well, we're not going to do that. I don't have the patience to do that, neither do you guys. We're going to let this stuff sit for about 10 minutes just so it can mix. And then comes the fun part. Ow! shove it in there just like it's the first time. Okay. It's warm enough. Okay, and now, be careful. Harley, I am always careful. Hang on. Let me duck under the camera. Okay, so, technically, don't fall. Technically, you want some form of pitcher or funnel for this part. So what do I do? So grab your mixture mover and very carefully, aka with me, not carefully in any way, shape, or form, pour the hot shit into there. Whew, almost overfilled. Now this is the part where you can add any of your own ingredients. Whoops. And spill everything everywhere because you're talking and not paying attention. Sorry, my life. So, Hard Apple Cider, just like me, is a very heavily customizable drink. As long as you have the basic recipe, basic shit to do down, you can add anything you want. You could add oranges or cinnamon, really. I would be doing that. I said a bad word? Well, fuck. Cinnamon is what? Cinnamon chives. Not chives. Jeez. Cloves. Stuff like that. You can add it here. Again, raisins. Anything you really want, you can add to this. And just let it sit. And I'm going to turn the stove off. That's probably a good idea. And let it sit for 10 minutes. Because there's really not a lot to mix in. And again, you don't want to add the yeast until this, really one of the last steps. You do not want to kill that yeast. Monkeys and milk duds? What the fuck? That's just a random thing to say right out of the blue. Oh, monkeys and typewriters. Shows what I know. So, on the subject of yeast, really any champagne yeast, anything like that is going to work for you, and you can generally order it pretty cheap. What I actually use is, if I can get it, I'm going to show it to both cameras, but Lalvin QA23, and it's backwards on here. Good job. Good job, short person. So QA23, it's for definitely sweeter drinks like mead and... Oh, thank you, Harley. She gave me a rose. Thank you. It's for sweeter drinks, hard apple cider, mead, stuff like that. And showing up here to this camera, which, again, Lalvin QA23. It's really not. I think it comes out at like 99 cents a packet. And technically, you can make 5 gallons out of this. I'm using basically half. I used half for my previous test batch. I'm using half on this. If you kill that, though, it's done. Like, you have got to get the temperature down. There is no do-over. Thank you, Harley. Send me presents. Just thank you. You're gonna let the apple cider sit for 48 hours. If you don't see bubbling up to that point, then you're... Thank you, Harley. So just stop it. Stop it. You're gonna make me blush. If you don't see bubbling at that point, at that 48-hour point, maybe give it a little longer. But you probably screwed something up. You're going to have to start it over. You are not going to salvage that batch. You can try, but I'm going to be very surprised if you actually succeed. So then we're going to get this. Well, technically I could have poured it in this. I guess we're not going to use the funnel today. Another 8 minutes, just letting it soak. And when it's done, we're actually... Oh, that's why. We're going to just pour the rest of it in. We're not going to heat up the rest of the cider. We're just going to pour it straight in. And I'm just going to double check, because that doesn't sound right, even though I just said it. And I will go ahead and in the YouTube channel include the recipe, the blog that I got this recipe off of. Because I don't frickin' rip people off. Most of the time. Now this thing will actually load because my computer's slow as shit. Well, while that's loading, let's see, anything else? There's actually a couple questions I found as far as adding the yeast. I've seen recipes where it says you have to mix it in with a small cool batch and then pour it into your mixture. I've seen ones where you just pour it straight in. So to be honest, I don't think it really matters. Just go ahead and play around. If it doesn't work when you pour it in dry, pour it in wet, but dirty mind. But honestly, put it in dry or wet, it shouldn't really matter. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure over here, and this is actually growforagecookferment.com. Holy crap, that's a mouth load. Oh, crap baskets! Okay, so I forgot a very important step. So we are going to heat this batch up and pour it in. Because you know what I forgot? I forgot the frickin' sugar. Yes, that's why you heat it up. You're supposed to add the sugar in at this point. This is how you end a relationship. You be sweet too late. So, you're supposed to add 3 cups of sugar when you're doing this. And once it gets warm, you stir it in. I can't believe I forgot that step. And in mead, actually, it's about 3.5 pounds of honey for every gallon of mead, depending on how sweet you want it. So, kind of the same ratio. I just can't believe I forgot that. I'm an idiot. I forgot the sugar! Fuck! Okay, so, I'm going to go ahead and while that's heating up, we're going to sterilize this bitch. Get out the tools, Jeffrey! No more kids. Where did I just put this? You guys seen that guy who bakes? When he's like, it says that, sugar! Fuck. You know, kind of short hair crop. That guy's funny as hell. Anyways, Jesus, I can't believe I forgot that shit. Okay, you see, this is why I'm doing it, so you guys don't screw up like I did. Remember, we heat up the mixture, so we add the additional sugar. It's been a long day. Long month, really, in my defense. And me drinking copious amounts of coffee out of a beer bottle isn't helping. Yes, it is. Riker likes them too. Yeah, so Riker knows exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Bust my ass off laughing every time I watch us cooking. So, if this will go ahead and heat up. Maybe I should have lit some candles. Put on some more romantic music, try to get this to heat up. Out of all the things to forget, I forgot the frickin' sugar. Anyways, so a little important note on that is I recently was talking to the brewer and I knew that you added sugar. I wasn't really understanding why. And come to find out that's part of how fermentation works. The yeast eats the sugar and produces the alcohol. Or something along those lines. I don't know. I'm a blonde. I don't know shit. But so that is why you can come out with rather plain tasting drinks and it knocks you on your ass despite that you put because you put 20 cups of sugar in it. Tempted to put 20 cups of sugar in it, but I think it'd just end badly. Anyways. Again, this is very simple to do. I am tempted to start brewing beer because, believe it or not, I have wild hops growing on my property. A couple years ago, I actually got stung by a wasp trying to collect it. But yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and, if this works on out, look at brewing beer. Just why not? It'd be fun making money doing that off that. No, but it's still not warm. But good job, Doctor. It's a lot better than if I had screwed up making mead. What about mead, Harley? The reason I'm not making mead right now, by the way, is because you have to get raw, unprocessed honey, you know, in order for it to actually work. And that shit's like $40 a gallon! But if I had screwed up doing mead, yeah. Well, we're just going to let it soak a bit longer. Okay, that's starting to steam. We're going to give it another minute before starting stirring the sugar. But if I had, right, as I had started saying twice before, if I had screwed up like this doing mead, I would have had really no choice but pour the entire thing back on in, get the mead heated up, and then mix the honey in. Which, at that point, I would pray I'm not that stupid, because in order to make it give that yellow color, you have to add the honey! Then again, this is me. So, alright, we only really actually have 15 minutes left of doing this, which, making hard apple cider surprised me. It is a lot faster than making mead, because when you make mead, it's 30 minutes of just the honey and water heating up. And making sure it doesn't really boil over, which is where I screwed up. Funny story, I tried making 3 gallons of mead at once, and I screwed all 3 gallons up because I had bought this huge pot just for the occasion, right? Stood up there, was able to make all 3 gallons no problem. It was like a 5-gallon pot. I'm like, yes! I didn't wait for the water to heat up properly, and then I threw the honey in, and then I turned on the timer, right? So 30 minutes later, it's still lukewarm, and I just went ahead and used it with lukewarm so it didn't kill the germs in it. And I screwed up all 3 gallons. That was an expensive mistake. Expensive for me. Yep, that's about it. So we're going to do about 3 cups of brown sugar. Or, as far as I'm concerned, we're going to eyeball it. That's about a cup. And in this, it's kind of like baking cookies. You're not going to... Oh, wow, that's hard. There's not really a, you have to put this exact amount in, or otherwise it messes completely up. It's really up to personal taste. My personal taste is beating this against the counter. So then we're gonna... The more sugar you put in, the sweeter it's going to be, and honestly, probably the more alcoholic it's going to be. Okay, so that's done. And brown sugar is a lot cheaper than honey. A lot. So that's really, if you're pretty cheap like me, and you're not really a dedicated brewer, hard apple cider, although it's not as good as mead, because, oh, I love mead. It's going to be cheaper, it's going to be easier. Its fermentation time is between 2 and 4 weeks, where mead is between 3 and 6, so you're going to be able to brew a lot more. So now you're just going to stir it in. And there is an issue with apple cider. You have to go ahead and at the end, you have to stop the fermentation process, otherwise you're going to turn it into apple cider vinegar. And I'd be pretty pissed if I opened up something sweet to drink and took a gulp of vinegar. That would absolutely suck. So that's the issue you face with this. which just means you have to go ahead and drink it quickly. And I know anyone interested in this is just so heartbreaking. Right? So I'm just going to stir around a little more, make sure the sugar is entirely dissolved. That's really the only point, and again, it's sugar. It's not exactly going to be very hard to make sure of that. So we're just going to run this under hot water again. Again, we are almost done. Then the pain in the butt is going to be waiting for it to cool down to below 90 Fahrenheit. Oh, please don't spill everywhere. Which, again, that's really the pain. That open. Put it over. And you don't fill it up all the way to the top. I think that's an important part to mention. You're going to want to put about 2 inches of space between the neck where liquid ends. I love this precise, correct terminology. And the actual airlock. So you've got room for it to bubble up so you don't blow your top. This batch probably isn't going to turn out as well as it could because I forgot to add the sugar in the first place. Good job. And not all of it dissolved. Well, fuck. So this isn't going to be as sweet. Jesus Lord, I'm not sure why you're hopping on here to say that. Because, This isn't an ad channel, okay? And real talk, stop doing that. I guarantee you it doesn't work. Wig? Okay, I know my hair is poofy, but come on, don't call it a wig. That's not nice. Yeah. Jeez, wig. Yes, I am well aware I need a haircut. Thank you. Fucking wig. Damn. Dollar store wig. Jeez. The room stink? Do you really want me to go ahead and comment on that? Now please take your dollar store whore ass out of here. Okay, can I kick you? Huh. Advantage. Huh. Neat! I can! For context, for anyone wondering what that just was, mostly up there on the YouTube channel, this bitch decided to pop in and just start spewing insults. So, the easiest way to do that is to block. Remember, kids, there is a foolproof way to deal with cyberbullying, and it's called the power button and the block button. Okay. I think it maybe filled it up a little too much. But that's okay. Worst that happens is it blows up. Now we're going to put it on there. And this is what it looks like so far. Now you're not going to, if you do what I did and you get 2 of the half-gallon bottles of apple cider, you're not going to use it all if you've got stuff like this in here. If you got the extra apples. Again, this, because of my screw-up, this isn't going to be as sweet as it could be. But that doesn't really matter. It's going to be good. Most likely. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and heat the thermostat up. Thermometer. Jeez. We're going to heat the thermometer up, and we're going to be constantly checking on this to see when it gets below that 90 Fahrenheit. And honestly, if you want to, you can cheat by running this under cold water and bringing the temperature down, because who has time just to sit here and wait for this to cool down? And kind of give it a swirl. Turn it around so I get a fairly accurate temperature. Stick it in. What temperature are we reading? Looks like it's about... Still rising, actually. We're at 110, so yeah, still too warm by at least 20 degrees. Okay. And I still have that much left in this, so I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. I don't have something to brew it in, so I'm probably just going to dump it out because it's very sweet. Honestly, if I had been thinking, I would have gone ahead and not added all the cider when I was redoing the sugar, but this is me. So again, cheating, you could... Sorry. There we go. Cheating. You can go ahead and just run this under cold water and bring the temperature down that way. I think I stood for like 20 minutes when I actually made mead, because when I put it in the jug, it was about 140 degrees. And I just stood there for 20 minutes constantly checking it. And again, you guys aren't going to stay there for 20 minutes just watching me dick around with this. And the reason I'm not too worried about bringing the temperature down like this is because we've got that airlock in, and that airlock's entire job is to go and prevent from outside contaminants from getting in. What the fuck? Nobody gets... Thank you, Harley. Don't worry. She got kicked out. We're not worried about it. But, yeah, the only people really allowed to make fun of me are my friends. And if you got a problem with that, call me up. If you don't have my phone number, you don't have know me well enough to have a problem with me. Good quote from a good man. No, that's not my quote, guaranteed. I believe Jim Carrey said that. We're just going to mix this around. Again, this is going to take a little time. You got to be patient, or like me, being very good at being impatient. Yep, we're still at about 100 degrees. Set off again. Maybe it seems excessive to people that I'm rinsing that thermostat off after every check, but again, right now, the biggest danger is we get other contaminants in there here, which is going to absolutely mess your brew up, and if you do that, there is no recovery at all. So we're just gonna run the cold water. So how are you guys doing? Come here often? I say that to my fiance basically every night when we get ready for bed. And I think every night she's looking around for something to throw at me. This is ice water. The one thing you do want to be careful about is we are dealing with a hot liquid and it's running cold water. And if it's not in a bottle, you've got to be careful with that, because there's a chance that you may crack it. And if you crack it, good luck. So, bring it on down, still hot to the touch. We're not making it ice cold because, again, don't want to break this. This was, what time are we at? This is about 40 minutes of work. And I definitely don't want to break the bottle it's in. We're not trying to cool it down to freezing, we're just trying to cool it down to enough where we can add the yeast in without killing it. And what we're looking at now is we're going to look at a very impatient short nerd, because it is still about the same temperature. This is where impatience gets the best of me, and about where if this thing goes ahead and gets screwed up, which here whenever it's done brewing, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I will go ahead and record how it turned out. But if it's bad at the end of that time, that's because I went ahead and did this and didn't let it naturally cool down. And again, we wouldn't be facing this problem of the difficulty cooling down if I had just done it correctly in the first place and had the sugar when I was freaking supposed to. Also, typically you're going to want to add cinnamon for the actual taste, and the cinnamon sticks are the best, and you're going to let it soak back when we went ahead and soaked it. But considering the fact that my base was apple cider to begin with, I'm not too worried about that. And this is just the basic recipe, so I'm not worried about adding a bunch of different stuff. If this works, then I'll start adding a bunch more stuff, because then it'll be confirmed that it does work. I'm hoping I didn't hear a crack. Nope, no crack. I miss you too, Harley. You guys have to come down again sometime. Alright. Stab that in there. Still too hot. Really, don't get into brewing if, like me, you have absolutely no patience. Because this does require patience. And like I just pointed out, I have none. And let's see, Military King, I don't know how you want to race. Like, it's kind of an impossibility. This is just a pain right now. Quarter-mile street. No, not really. I'd lose. Like, don't get me wrong, I got a nice truck, but I really don't think it's going to go ahead and win in a quarter-mile street race. And I'm a boring person who doesn't race, so feel free to judge. Don't really care. Honestly, if you do it correctly the first time and initially add your sugar, then after the 20 minutes of it soaking, then adding the other cider, it's going to cool it down to that point where you can add your yeast pretty quickly. You too, man. You too. But, so instead, I'm just going to sit here and probably run under some more lukewarm water for 10 minutes because I didn't do this correctly. Ugh. I said cheap crafting for beginners, not good crafting for beginners. Okay. Get to the point where it's not freezing and just let it run. I need more coffee. So now we get to the boring part. And for the YouTube channel, it's just going to be one of the parts where I just go, okay, skipping. For the people actually watching, you don't get that option. Time travel has not been invented yet. Give it 20 years. That was the wrong one. And in case it wasn't pretty clear due to this entire mess, you generally want to have a clean kitchen starting out. That way, no more contaminants, and if you do have to do something like this, there's not a lot of dishes in the way. You wouldn't think it'd be this hard to bring down temperature, but apparently it is. I'm too cold, I'm too hot, get me the right fucking temperature, please. Mead would still take longer to make. Don't get me wrong, I vastly prefer mead, but I'm cheap. Alright, let's check to see the temperature on it now. I don't think I'm going to take it all the way out of the sink because that just is kind of a waste of time at this point. Let it cool down. Okay, just making sure that it's not broken like my last one. Ah, okay, almost lost it. Please. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. In case it wasn't obvious, it's still not on point! It's really not helping that I have to keep that airlock on. Patience? Harley, you know me. I don't have patience. And I don't want to fill up the sink with cold water, because if I do that, it may crack the bottle. This is going so well. Ah, okay, that was very hot. Okay, I'm going to pull a risky maneuver. Leave a small opening as possible. Let the frickin' heat escape. At this point, this is getting ridiculous. It's been like 10 minutes of me trying to cool this shit down. Remember, kids, this is why we follow directions, and don't forget to add a frickin' sugar. Alright, let's try that. I don't believe this shit. Doctor's getting impatient! I got impatient. This thing's cooling down one way or the other. I'm doing this a day after I was using heat and ice cold water to break bottles. I never claimed to be a genius. That doesn't cool it down. Something important you want to remember when you get to the point where it's actually fermenting is you want to keep it out of direct sunlight. Don't have it in a freezing room. Make sure it stays above that freezing point. Don't have it in direct sunlight. You should be just fine. In a hotter room, it's they're going to be done in 2 weeks. Colder environments, it's going to be the 4 weeks. You're going to have, once you put the yeast in, within a couple days, you're going to see it bubbling on up. You're going to see the fermentation. Then you want to wait until the bubbles have stopped completely. Otherwise, you're going to be burping a lot. I got impatient with the batch of meat. That's fine. What we're doing. However, I'm seeing a lot of steam up here, so thankfully the heat's siphoning off. 20 minutes of frustration trying to do this. This is not something you do when you're tired. Take a day off. Plan a day out. Don't drink coffee out of a beer bottle. Lukewarm coffee out of a beer bottle. That cooled down faster than the cider did. It is cooling down. So that worked. Desperate times and all that. Fun fact about mead, though, kind of fun fact, the majority of the people around here have not heard of it. Like, you got the group of people and you're like, oh, mead, yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah, it's good. And then you've got the group of people that go, what's mead? If I had glasses on, I'd be taking them off right now. But is it honey wine? You have to explain it. It's like asking people what freaking hard apple cider is. It doesn't make sense. It's like, how do you live this long on Earth and not figure out what meat is? Let's try this. Oh, come the fuck on! I would add the yeast now, but if you do that when it's above 90 Fahrenheit, you are going to kill it. And I've put too much effort in this to kill this shit. Come on, please. Pop you out again. Getting desperate here. Come on. It's surprisingly well insulated for a glass bottle. Giving a bottle a bath. Giving a bottle a bath. Fuck this damn bottle. Giving it a bath. Water in my eye. Okay. Let's see if I shake it. Probably shouldn't take that off to shake it the fuck around. Get mixed up. See if it was colder in the bottom. Please. Progress. It is like 2 degrees above where it needs to be. I'm frankly surprised that I still have people watching this. I know if it was me, I would have gotten very fucking bored and left a while ago. Alright, so we're going to renew the cold water bath. And here in maybe 5 minutes or so, it's actually going to be ready to add the yeast. I'm just afraid it's going to go crack and everything's going to fall apart. I would cry. I would very much cry. You guys would see a semi-grown man breaking down in tears. Okay. Did you hear about cheap running water? He had 2 sons, hot and cold, and a daughter named Luke. Lukewarm coffee. Yeah. To be honest, this live was only supposed to be about a half hour long. That's how long Screwing Up goes ahead and adds to it. About twice the time now. Good. Cut it out. Bathe it. Bathe it. Come on, cool down 2 frickin' degrees, you fucking bottle. I'm sure that there's some joke about bathing a bottle in the sink, but I'm not finding it. Hey Harley, you still here? Because I got a question for you if so. My fingers are beginning to prune. Speaking of prunes, I actually have a plum tree outside that when it ripens up, I'm going to go ahead and make plum wine. Alright, let's see. Shake it up. Off the top. Grab the thermostat. Weep a little inside. Don't let the crushing weight of existence come in. Put the thermostat in. Get ready to curse. Wait. Oh, hallelujah, there is a God. We have about 86 degree temperature in the bottle, which is cool enough to add the frickin' yeast. Okay. Still dry despite all the wetness. A couple ways to add it. Personally, I like making it wet just because it's easier to slip on in. And honestly, I really wouldn't recommend trying to stretch a packet of yeast over 3 bottles because you're going to have some screw-ups, you're going to have imprecise addition, unless you are someone who can very, very, very well measure your stuff. Just don't. Otherwise, you're going to wind up with too little yeast. How's that? I probably should have checked that with my finger. This, stir it up. Add it in. Pray to God I didn't just screw everything up with that little move. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually heat up the thermostat again. Stir it on around. Strictly speaking, stirring's not necessary, but I do just all the same. Get the yeast in there a little more, get it mixed up. Get the airlock heated, and boom! Behold, a gallon of hard apple cider. I almost said meat. Now, it is going to take at least a few hours for you to actually start seeing it bubble up. If in 48 hours you don't see it bubbling, you screwed up. Try not to do that. But there we go. And let's see, to go ahead and count it out, besides the... Right, I can probably turn it over this way now. Yee. So, bottle was about $9. Airlocks, they'll run you a couple dollars, so we're looking at $13 on the outside. Oh, Harley, what do you think the next, like, cheap crafting theme should be? Because I'm running out of ideas. Right. So, technically, bottle top, you're really looking at maybe $12. Then you're looking at the actual cider. It's going to run you maybe $5 more, so it's $18 you're looking at. The apples cost me like $1.99 a pound. Do a pound of apples, that's... My math's not working right now. $17, I think we're up to. Unless my math's horribly off. Maybe $1 per pack of yeast. If you run a third of pack, it's not anything really to add. So you're like $17.50 maybe now. And the thermostat, any kitchen thermostat's going to work. Hell, even a thermostat for a forehead. Just something to judge the temperature. If you buy that new, you can find one for a couple bucks, so add up to $19.50. Am I missing anything that we used? The sugar, but maybe throw a couple more dollars. You can make a batch of this for under $25, and let's go ahead and check to see how much it sells. Like, if you've got a brewer's license and somehow have that, let's just go check to see how much a gallon of hard cider is. Give me a second. My computer's over here. Gallon of hard apple cider. Let's see if my computer will actually respond to this. Yep, it actually responded. It is a very old computer. And now it's... I can't figure out if it's actually moving or not. So... I don't want to run into that and tip it over. 64 fluid ounces. Shopping. Again, it's being very slow. It's also because I got a shitload of stuff going in the background. Huh. What? Well, 5 gallons of cider base runs $40. And that's just your base. And that's just cider. I can't honestly find any alcoholic stuff. Let me go ahead and run another thing just so I can... Oh, hard cider brewing kit is $115. I think it's a little cheaper to do it this way. And if you let it ferment long enough, you can have apple cider vinegar, so you don't have to just make alcohol out of this. Let's see. This bring up anything. Come on, give me something to go ahead and judge off of this. Filtered apple cider. I'm really not finding any hard apple cider. There's a recipe to get in for 2 gallons where you just do it that way. That's $120. So to compare, $120 for a brewing kit, $25 at most for this. And really, it's going to be a little bit less considering you're adding in the full price of the sugar and shit like that when you're not going to use it all. So that's how we do it. And here in, well, 3 weeks, I'll go ahead and What am I going to be doing after the live is done? Fuck if I know. Probably posting the video. But where was I? Right. 3 weeks for this. I've got another one brewing that was actually in the plastic jug that's got maybe a week left. So I'll go ahead and do a video on here and also post on YouTube about how that works out. And that is how we make a gallon of hard apple cider. And again, it is twice the length that this video needs to be because I screwed up in the beginning. Have a good night, guys. Turning you off.